Is there something to be said about getting that one behind you, knowing that was one that was kind of built up for you emotionally? Now we can kind of put the narratives and storylines and all that stuff to the side, and we can focus on the rest of the SEC.
I guess so. I mean, we can't do nothing about it, but fans, they still gonna keep talking about it. That's what they do. But we just gonna focus on the next game and the next game and in the next game. We could do nothing but move forward at this point. So.
What's the early stuff you feel like you've learned from that Alabama game? Because probably nobody else in the SEC probably has a pace like that. They're going to play for the rest of the year.
I didn't learn something that I didn't know already, but it was just the attention to details. I feel like we could have emphasized that a lot more in the scout, and some of the plays that they were doing, or some of the off-end movements, the peel to a flare. I feel like we could have studied it a little more and emphasized it more. And I think that would have been a major difference in the game.
Coach Oates talked about just when the ball gets inside, that it kind of the passing out from, you hear that feedback? What did you think of it, knowing that was your former coach kind of giving general front feedback for you guys?
That's just the kind of guy he is. He's just, he's super intelligent when it comes to like knowing basketball, and he does his research a lot. Probably, one of like better than a lot of people in the country. Like that's what he does. But I didn't know that, honestly. I was kind of surprised hearing that and everything. But I think him saying that allowed us to see what we could work on better from the post scoring and all of the options from there.
What was the most frustrating part of the film once you guys broke it down over getting back in town and kind of regrouping after the weekend? The most frustrating part was seeing that we could have did better at the scouting report, because it felt like they was doing the same thing over and over, and just thinking like we could have did a lot better, on the defensive side with the attention to detail and the personnels. We should have took it more seriously.
Over that 11-day break, do you feel like it was almost too long of a break, where like when you got back out on the court, that was maybe like you had to catch up to speed a little bit?
I don't think it was too long of a break. I think it was much needed for us. Me personally, I was out with the flu that week. That week leading up to the game. So I came back to practice like 2 days before the game, I think. So I was out for that week for real. But it was much needed for our bodies and our minds and stuff. To get that break.
How are you turning the page toward Missouri? What have you learned about them? What was some of the early scout on the Tigers?
We just gotta bring the energy from the start of the game. They're a good shooting team. We plan to be there on the catch. Limit their 3-point shots, and play physical, get on the glass. Try to win the rebounding game, and limit they shooting. So that's kind of been the thing going into this game.
The result obviously was what it was, but to get through a full Jaland Lowe game, totally healthy, you got to see him kind of at his best.
Yeah.
Just how good did that feel to kind of have your PG1 out there?
It felt great. I think Jaland, he's becoming more and more comfortable the more he play. And I think he's gonna start. The more he plays, it's gonna make us more comfortable in the offense and with how we play. And I think he's probably our biggest contributor when it comes to that. So, once he get it rolling, we all gonna get it rolling with him. I feel.
fans obviously make a massive deal about the starting lineups and who needs to be playing and what Jaland needs to be in and what about JQ. Do players care as much about that? Because I feel like the coaches kind of minimize that, and not just Pope, but just in general. The coaches don't necessarily see the starting lineup as that big of a deal.
I think players, like, as long as they're on the court, you know, when they feel like they need to be, when the game is like on the line and stuff, and you know, if they're able to play enough to where they can impact the game, they wouldn't care as much. But a guy like Jaland, you know, he's our best point guard, so you know, I love to see him on the court with me. You know, JQ also, he's like, you know, he's still finding himself a little bit. You know, he's been out for like 9 months. He's still finding his confidence a little bit. You know, he's still finding his way through the offense. But you know, I think he's figuring it out. You know, I think he's gonna figure it out. So I feel like if we allow, you know, those guys to like play a little more and stuff, it's gonna build the momentum of the team. You know, it's gonna look like, you know, what people been imagining.
Important. We've started off slow and a lot of our games, so setting that tone early and at a home game, especially versus Missouri, coming off a win versus Florida, is very important. And that's just something that we've got to find. That's important right now, but we've also got to sustain that for the full rest of the game. But yeah, it's very important that we do.
There are ways that you can incorporate that before you even set foot on the court, just camaraderie, those type of things.
I think just knowing the game plan and, you know, everybody being on the same just mindset and same physicality at the same time, just imposing our will. Like, at some point, you just need guys out there that's going to push somebody first. And we have the guys for that. I think we just come out sometimes just, you know, looking for each other or somebody else to do something sometimes, but we all have guys that can take that and be the first guy to do that. And we have 5 guys that will be out there on that court that will be able to do that.
Going back to the practice reps versus game reps, but with you and JQ in particular, I felt like in the second half you all kind of tried to establish some chemistry when you're all working in the two-man game. Just what did you learn about JQ from those game reps compared to maybe the practice reps? Anything different about how you two can, you know, work together in that chemistry level?
I know that JQ set some pretty hard screens. I mean, he's a big dude, but that he's just very mobile, and that, you know, going forward, depending on who we see, what coverages we see, we know what we both like now. We've communicated that, and, you know, hopefully going forward, it'll be a liking that I really want to get him involved more, but then also being able to set up things for myself and others.
How did it feel, you know, everyone kind of looks at you as like that passing point guard, but how did it feel to have that point performance and be able to try and start that second half surge and go out there and prove your scores?
I mean, that's just kind of who I am. As much as I love to pass, if my team needs me to go out there and score, I have no problem doing that. It is not too hard for me to do that. I think it's just I have a great group of guys around me that make it a little bit easier to do that. But at the same time, I know as my job, I have to still get guys open shots and things of that nature. But if my team needs me to score, then I've got no problem doing that.
How are you feeling heading into the game?
Alabama fired up a lot of threes, made a bunch. When you were looking on the film, what did you see from your all's defensive perspective on how you were defending those and maybe the good or the bad on that?
I just feel like, you know, we weren't urgent enough to get out to guys that we knew were shooters. You know, I think we didn't communicate loud enough or well enough for each other to all be on the same page. But that's just got to be a discipline thing. And going forward, I'm pretty sure everybody knows we're in conference play now. There should be no surprises what we're doing now, that we've all got to be on the same page no matter what. And it's life or death now. It's SEC play. It's the second half of the season. And we're not doing great right now, as we all know, but we still have plenty of games left, and we know our capability. So we're going to go out there and just play urgent.
You're not even halfway through the regular season schedule still, so Gil talked about that, saying like, we're not even halfway through, like we still have a long way to go to figure things out. Does that give you all any confidence and optimism, things like that?
I mean, I know for some guys it might. They look ahead on the schedule and see how many games you have left, but I know some guys who are just, they focus on one game at a time, and they do anything to win that next game. And as far as me, I can only look for one game at a time. Just the way that I'm trying to stay healthy and everything. So I think everybody's trying to get on the same page about like, let's not look too far. Like we've got to do what's right in front of us.
After the game, natives alluded, he's like, I'm glad we don't play Kentucky later on in the season. What do you think about those comments initially, and like, do you think it speaks to what you're trying to build for later on?
I think if from coming from a coach like that, it shows that he sees that we have great potential too. And if once we get everybody clicking together, once we find out, I guess just finding out everything together about our clique and our niches together, that we can be really good. I mean, if we know that, but it's cool coming from a coach like that.